It's the land of dreams and possibilities, the United States of America. That's where Mamelodi Sundowns will be heading over to try gore ba fodise dipelo tsa bona tse di botlhoko tse di tswang ko pyramid. Dumelang mapara le maparagadi ka lebitso ke Lekoko, your host. And as usual, I'm not rolling solo. Ke tsamaya le mapara a ka Mpho and Lufuno. Lunga, she's there. She'll be bringing us all the news. Mtho abuile from Egypt. Auntie Diski, her story. Of course, I'll never leave that on the sidelines. She'll be bringing us stories about women's football and everything else that will be happening. Do stay tuned with them Mzansi Fundis and enjoy. Abshen aye minjani. Well, I had to be versatile because kitila le Lufuno mo. Lufuno pelo ifodile ya Mphoza last week ene wena ke a itse hore ai wena o ka re dilo tsa ho di a o lokela go tlapeng ya ho dilo di a loka.
No, ke a bona hore relationship ya Mpho le Don Cardoso e kopane hape. Hore ke ntse ke mutwa mo matsatsi ke ntse ke bua le yena o na le hope, o sharp, o smile.
Tishwele span.
Ispanne.
Mphoza ere ko tlwele go ke ska o busetsa manxeba a last week. Hona dilo tse re di boneng. They are not familiar, these things. The trophy, the award go studio.
The pitch was busy, so busy that the pitch is in court. So therefore, we will use the studio to do handouts. I mean, look, at least PSL is breaking new ground. If you can't do it on the pitch, do it in studio. But we don't condone that, because there's an excitement that happens when you've won on the field and you get rewarded on the field, and that's what it should be. We shouldn't be waiting for it's akwa, and then you're doing it in studio. Now people can't go on holiday because players were supposed to have gone now. It's off season, but anyway.
Now, Lufuno, you have players that are all the way in Cape Town, Babalem based to go Durban, having to come to Joburg. The cost is unnecessary.
Bona Lekoko, you know, as a footballer, halfetso wina, tshwantse be le di Banyana, tshwantse ntotse o di ka setsa.
Your supporters that have been supporting you the whole season,
they're not there to celebrate with you. You know.
All right, gents. Ke na go re ka Lunga ditaba tsa hae phela no lona ke a le tseba re le ka se stop ya le batho. Let's check out what Lunga has for us. And I hear there's a little Badian child, or there's a guy from Egypt a buile ga re tshwaretse ditaba ka lesaka a re utlwe re ba re tshwaretse tse feng.
A very good evening to you all and welcome to African Football News. These are the top stories that are currently making the headlines. African champions Banyana Banyana named their squad for the WAFCON title defense. Mamelodi Sundowns has already left for USA for the FIFA Club World Cup. WAFCON holders Banyana Banyana have taken another decisive step in their quest to defend their continental crown, with head coach Dr. Desiree Ellis cutting her preliminary squad down to 28 players ahead of next month's showpiece in Morocco. The reigning African champions, who lifted the title in 2022 under Ellis's guidance, are looking to cement their dominance in the continent once more. This time they return to Morocco, the very country where they were crowned, with history and expectation riding on their shoulders. The trimmed squad will assemble in Johannesburg on June 19, where 24 players will begin an intensive training camp. They'll be joined later by 4 overseas-based players still tied to club commitments. Notably absent from the upcoming camp is former CAF Women's Footballer of the Year, Thembi Kgatlana. Hilda Magaya, another key figure in Banyana's historic 2022 run, is still undergoing medical checks and will report to camp once cleared. The final 23-player squad will be announced on 23rd June before the team jets off to Ujda, their base during the group stage. South Africa opened their Group C campaign against Ghana on 7 July, followed by clashes with Tanzania on the 11th of July and Mali on the 14th of July. The Total Energies CAF WAFCON 2024 kicks off on the 5th of July in Rabat, with hosts Morocco facing Zambia in the opener. We are now just a few days away from kickoff of the biggest club competition in the world, the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. And of course, I am not alone. I'm welcoming back Mthokozisi all the way from Far Post. He's of course our favorite football encyclopedia. Sawona Mtho njani?
Ngiyaphila Lunga unjani?
Ngiyabona ukuthi Egypt right. Could there be any weather that side?
No, look, Egypt was very hot. I mean, shocking, totally different weather from Johannesburg. But the football was good. The hospitality was on another level.
Speaking of football and Egypt, Mamelodi Sundowns has had a very rocky ending when it comes to the CAF Champions League, but now they've jetted off to USA for the FIFA Club World Cup. How big of a deal is this spot for Sundowns, and do you think they can actually compete with the big European sides?
Look, it's a massive competition to be part of. And obviously, the first of the expanded 32-team tournament. But look, when you look at how Sundowns fared in the CAF Champions League, I think I'd be very worried going into that competition. Obviously, because of their struggles to score goals. I mean, when you look at the last 12 games, Sundowns were only able to score more than one goal in just one game against AS Maniema of DRC. The rest they either failed to score or they scored just a single goal. And you just look at both legs of the final, I think really, really disappointing. And now they're playing even stronger opposition, from overseas, and it's going to even be more difficult. And if you go into such competitions and you're not scoring goals, you won't win games. You come back home empty-handed. So that's my biggest fear when it comes to the FIFA Club World Cup and Mamelodi Sundowns.
I mean, you did say that there are stronger competitions in the European sides. Do you think they should have strengthened their team rather?
Look, I don't think Sundowns needed to strengthen. They've got a very good squad. If you look at each position, they've got literally 3 international players, But I think it's just maybe varying their play and showing us that of the offensive, abilities that team has. I mean, they've got. You look at Lucas Ribeiro, top goal scorer in the Betway Premiership. I mean, scoring 16 goals. You look at Ikram Reyners, gives you 14 goals. Peter Shalulile, I mean, he's been scoring goals in both domestic and international competition. So, the coach needs to unleash them and get them, playing well offensively and getting those goals. That's all they need, honestly.
So it's a big congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns, and we are fully behind them, giving all of the support. But now the transfer season is open. What do you have for us, Mtho?
Look, quite a lot happening already. I think it's going to be a very busy transfer window. Probably, Bradley Grobler on the verge of leaving SuperSport. I mean, his contract coming to an end at the end of June. Yep. Sekhukhune United tabling an offer which could see him, cross the floor and joining them. We've seen Orlando Pirates releasing Pasika Mako, Innocent Maela, Thabiso Munyane as well. Miguel Team as well, already finding a home at Sekhukhune United. Mm-hmm. We do know that Thabiso Munyane and Pasika Mako are on their way to Kaizer Chiefs. Also Sipho Mbule. Look, Sundowns deciding not to extend his contract, and there is talk that he could actually be considered by Kaizer Chiefs. So that's still, 50-50. Lebo Piri, he's been based in France. He's been overseas for over a decade now. He's available as a free agent. Mm-hmm. A number of teams are looking at him, including Kaizer Chiefs. There's quite a lot happening on the transfer market at the moment.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I hear you speaking about Pasika Mako moving to Kaizer Chiefs. Quite a very unexpected move. Do you think it's going to fit in the whole entire setup, or it's just a depth signing?
Look, I do feel he would be a depth signing, because when you look at Kaizer Chiefs' needs, I think they struggled a lot when it came to defending set pieces. Very interesting, we saw Bafana playing Mozambique, and Edmison Davis' weaknesses in terms of defending set pieces being exposed, and he's a player that Kaizer Chiefs are likely to let go before the end of the month when his contract expires. Mm-hmm. So Pasika Mako coming in doesn't really solve those problems, because when you go to the CAF Confed Cup, you obviously need height at the back. You obviously need a player that is also good offensively. I don't think he's that good offensively. Mm-hmm. Yes, defensively he's good, but when it comes to his offensive player, I don't think he's a Nasreddin Nabi kind of left back. So maybe they could still be looking at other options at left back. I know they were speaking to Nkanyi Soshinga, who's based in Portugal. Okay. However, the challenge is that the team that he plays for, Alveca, has just been bought by Vinicius Jr., the Real Madrid winger. And they're looking to, compete. They've just been promoted to the top flight in Portugal. So they may want to hold on to him with 1 year left on his contract. But there's also Aphiwe Baliti at SuperSport United. He's also a player that is seemingly of interest to Kaizer Chiefs. So maybe they could still get one more option in that left back position.
So I just want us to quickly touch on Peter Shalulile's future at Mamelodi Sundowns. He's been quite quiet of late. Yep. Do you think he's still untouchable at Mamelodi Sundowns, or there's a chance that he might move on?
Look, I think in January he approached the club and made it clear that he wants to leave. There was an offer for him in Saudi Arabia with the first division side, and now his contract comes to an end at the end of June. But the club has an option; they could still exercise that option and keep him for another year. But he's actually asked to say he wants to leave. You can see he's not gotten so much game time. I mean, with the coming in of Ikram Reyners, I think he's not really started a lot of games this season. So he could be a player that Sundowns would let go. But knowing Sundowns in recent seasons, I think they hardly allow their players to leave for free. Also, being aware that the Kaizer Chiefs would be looking for a striker, they may actually, go for him. So we'll keep an eye on that story and see what happens.
Now, Mtho, unfortunately, our time has come to an end. So many questions that I'd still like to ask you, but iskati. This is Unokulunga Ntokazi Entle Yagwatenjogwayo Mthokozisi Dube all the way from Far Post, and you're watching African Football News. Stay tuned next week for more updates as far as African football is concerned. Sobabili City, good night.